All right, Mr. Jonathan, we've given you precisely, hopefully, zero context for why you're here.
That is true.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Great way to start.
How's your day at MCON so far?
Going good. Dealing with the union, getting all our stuff in here. We weren't ready for that one, so.
What is it, like good 5-10 grand per power drop or something like that?
Oh my God. And we're not really good at reading paperwork. We just show up and do our thing.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're providing a service, that everybody gets to experience here. So we don't really read through all the fine details. So
What's the service? What do you provide?
So I own the Reality Center.
Yeah.
I'm one of the co-founders. I'm an Army combat veteran. Spent 15 months in Iraq, but I lost 16 of my guys and 15 months in intense fighting. But when I got back, almost 100 in our unit with John Wayne Troxel to drug overdose, suicide, and now exposure to harmful chemicals. So lots of people are starting to die from cancer now in our unit. And so Reality Center is a sensory wellness center and digital psychedelic lab in Santa Monica, California. We use light, sound, and vibration in a very special way to induce deep states of consciousness, deep states of meditation, and even psychedelic-like states.
Wow, well, you're going to get into all of that. It's an incredible story. Before we do, Mr. Tennessee has a kickoff question for you.
Oh, this kind of ties into actually a little bit what you said, because you have a story. You have your own hero's journey, and you're your own movie, right? We all watch each other's movies in life, and if I'm trying to watch my own movie, sometimes it's impossible. And we have friends yell at us. It's like you're watching a movie and someone yells at you, "Don't go down that alley." It's like, don't do it, because it's easier to yell at a friend's movie. So with that theme, what would be the theme of your life as a movie? And we'll have a little fun here. Would it be a action flick? Obviously, it has been. Drama, comedy, what would that be? And then who would play you in the movie of your life? So however you want to answer that question, give us some feedback. That kind of helps us set a little bit of tone about who you are.
Hopefully Clooney or Leo are playing me. That would be great. Clooney's from Cincinnati. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Clooney or Leo, similar but also very different.
Yes.
So we're going Clooney.
Can sort of.
You got more of a Leo vibe,
Yeah.
look-wise.
I'm a little bit more of a bad boy at my younger age, So
There you go.
I was like him more going into the movie with Jack Nicholson. What was that one?
The Departed?
The Departed.
Yeah.
So I was him in The Departed at a young age.
Wow.
But,
Okay. There's layers to that. We'll maybe get into that.
But you asked about advice, right?
What's that?
Theme of your life.
Theme of your life.
Theme. Service is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I found myself through service. I grew up poor as a kid in Cincinnati, Ohio. Single waitress mom. My dad was an immigrant from Lima, Peru. Came over here to go to college, and so didn't grow up with much. And when my parents got divorced, I had to be the man of the house, and so that gave me a lot of responsibility that I had on my shoulders at a very young age. And so growing up in my adolescence, that made me resistant to older men around in my life giving me advice, because I was my own man at the time. So I think part dramedy. There's drama, there's comedy, there's definitely action. After the Twin Towers fall, it was either go to jail or die from opioid overdose or go to the military. And so nobody in my family ever went to the military, so I just went in the recruiter station. I said, put me on Iraq. And they're like, I got you. Infantry is the job for you. I said, what is that? They're like, you carry a gun. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Easy.
So yeah, I got deployed in with the second surge in 2007 for 15 months with John Wayne Troxel. Every single kind of death happened to us over there. One person shot in the head from a sniper, one person burned alive, one person drowned alive, 3 people, blown up by an IED. Everything happened that could possibly happen over there. But once we got back, and you go through your 2 weeks of filling out the little, forms, and you're just trying to go drink a beer with your buddies and go be with some girls finally after 15 months, you really weren't focusing or worrying about or knew anything about mental health at that moment. And so, looking back, I wish I would have had the tools that we have now as veterans after we sort of figured it out the last 10 years, and it took us to save us. It took us starting our own nonprofits. Some people like Adam Marr doing ibogaine and going and crushing it down there, and now bringing it from Texas to other states. And people like us on the other side, which is totally legal, but can bring you to those psychedelic states. We started in equestrian therapy. My fellow machine gunner was at Stillwell, Kansas, at an equestrian therapy program, and I went back and got my GI Bill and became a director and a photographer. I've worked with everybody from Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, Kevin Hart, President of the United States. But when a lot of my friends started taking their lives, a lot of our work started gravitating towards telling that story and those stories. And we started working with the brands, the companies, the people that were helping our veteran community. And brought me to Stillwell, Kansas, where they re-linked us up with 15 people from my unit that I haven't seen since Iraq. Saw the first power of community. So that's sort of our first pillar of healing. Even before you go get up on the horse or the Try to Reality Center, you've got to find your community, bounce some ideas off first. Then using this 1,000-pound horse as a tool to break you down and build you back up, to allow you to take that suit of armor off that we built up for so long. And for military people, it's even before the military. It's before their military service. Why we went to the military. Most of the women have sexual trauma from when they're younger. Then they go to the military, they have sexual trauma again in the military. Right? So they have this massive suit of armor that they built up that it took, good 10 or 15 years from all these amazing nonprofits, all these clinicians, all these amazing companies that are helping provide alternative therapies to veterans. And I told John Wayne, I said, this is between us. I was in a unit like that with John Wayne where I used cannabis when I got out instead of taking the pills. Both of my best friends are dead now, and I'm still here. And I said, isn't that really, but it was so demonized in the military when we got out. Like, if you smoke cannabis, you smoke pot, you're a pothead, you're an idiot, you're a dumbass. And those people are no longer with us. They listened to the doctor when we got out. That said, take those Xanax, take those opioids. And I was messing with John Wayne. I said, I saw you next to a girl that started a nonprofit that said weed heals, cannabis heals in that speech earlier. I said, isn't that fucking crazy? He looked at me and said, absolutely. And so we've came a long way. And if you're a veteran that has access to the internet, there's a lot of different modalities out there that can help you heal. And we look at everybody as an instrument, and a different kind of instrument, a different size instrument. And so everybody needs to be tuned a little bit differently. Some people need to get on and do their podcasts every day. Other people need to walk a couple miles. Other people need to get and do P90X, right? Others need to get up on a horse. So it's a cocktail or a combination of all these different things that you're going to learn over time, that you're going to put together. That's going to be that perfect cocktail for you that you just use for the rest of your life.
What a callback. P90X, shout out Paul Ryan. I haven't heard that one in a minute. P90X been a minute. That's awesome. Listen, man, I appreciate you being so candid with what you're sharing here. We make light of a lot of things on this show, but it's heavy, right? I mean, you people close to you, that nobody wants to go through that. What I am particularly interested about is, for you, how you've turned that into a story that's led you to this point, which is founding multiple organizations and building. You've turned destruction into construction, and you've created from pain. And I think even the process you've gone through of the things you've decided to try, or the things you've decided to explore, I'm really curious about what led you down the path that you, like you said, everybody's an instrument. What's Jonathan's path? How did you get to this place?
I think just telling stories. Like after the military, I started out as a filmmaker, and I started telling stories, with my partners. Mm-hmm. And we got into everything. I shot the first ever behind the scenes of the presidential inauguration for Trump in 2016. The only camera in the room for 3 weeks with him. So things like that.
How did that happen?
I'm military. I have clearance. There's, in Hollywood specifically, there's the Veterans and Media Entertainment. I'm sure you heard of them before. My friend Kyle Hushman started that. Ryan Curtis is Oprah's DP, and Kyle basically shoots all the videos for the VA, basically. So the training video that's shown to every single VA doctor, nurse, clinician before they start working at the VA, I helped work on the video that's the suicide prevention hotline video. I help work on. So we're in this little nucleus of Hollywood veterans, people like Rudy Reyes, Rudy was just at the Reality Center the other day. So it's a small little nucleus, all the guys, the old Article 15 that is now Black Rifle Coffee, shout out to JT and all those guys. We all started filming together as soon as we got out of the military. We just all started telling stories. Then through those stories, through on the other side of the lens, we're like, We want to go start a nonprofit like them. We want to go start a podcast like them. We want to go take people to do psychedelics in Mexico like them. And you just get to pick and choose, and you get to see from behind the lens the best things, just like you guys on the other side.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the power of entertainment making things. I was blessed to have a career as a TV producer 25 years, and all my relationships come from that and things I learned. I have a unique Rolodex, and probably like you do as well, because the power of looking through that lens and to say, oh man, I want to do that too. And then you accumulate stories and learn from each other. What would you say that's led to where you are today, but what was something that you made or filmed that really gave you pride to help push you in the direction you're in now? You've done a lot of stuff like the Trump thing, but what really hit where you're like, man, that guy told me this story, it impacted me so much, I saw a window where I really need to lean into that, which helped you start that organization? Or
Yeah, I think a really good one that we did a couple years ago, it was with Raven Drum Organization, who, have you heard of Def Leppard? Mm-hmm. So my buddy who's the drummer of Def Leppard.
It's a little band. Def Leppard, heard of him.
Yeah, Rick.
Sing me a song.
Rick and his amazing wife have an organization called Raven Drum Foundation, and basically it's healing through drum circles. And so they bring in a bunch of veterans, they bring in all their top drumming buddies. Through that, I got to meet Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses. Shout out to Matt, my buddy. Now we're really good friends. Just text me. I think, sorry, one more time. Question again.
Oh, so I was about to start singing "Pour Some Sugar on Me." Is that Def Leppard?
Oh, what led to that? Oh, the thing. Okay, yeah.
I was going to come back to it and give you the question.
And the one thing I think I'm really proud of filming is that drum circle, because there was veterans, with limbs missing, veterans that probably haven't felt community in a long time, and I had 10 of the world's most famous drummers in front of me asking them, I know you've had a friend that's died of suicide, being a rock star. What would you say to him if he was across from you right now?
Yeah.
And that's how I started every single interview. And so 100-person in a drum circle, the world's top drummers, we're talking the top drummers in the world. And I think that was one of the things that we're really, 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 really proud of. But we've done a lot of things. We've shot stuff for the VA, I've shot stuff for the president, and everything in between.
But through the vehicle of filming, you were able to see like, oh, these guys are making an impact. That's what I want to do, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And that's Reality Center and how all these things came to birth.
When I saw my buddy that I haven't seen in a long time finally get up on that horse after 3 days that he was scared of, then shed some tears, I was like, damn, there's something there happening. When I saw 15 of us come back together that haven't seen each other in 15 years, I was like, damn, there's something happening. Then we all went to the bar and got in a fight with everybody at the bar, like right back in the military.
You were right back to it.
So there were like 2-drink minimum at the nonprofit anymore for the guys. It's because of us. Sorry, guys. But just that bringing that camaraderie back together. Then all of these just amazing modalities that are out there. All these nonprofits that are providing free services for veterans that are out there, and for the family. That's not just important for us to focus on the veteran. I've seen a lot of my veteran operator friends go to Peru or go to Costa Rica, come back enlightened, and the family's like, where the fuck is my healing? When do we get saved? When do I get enlightened? So nothing changes for them, and it just changes for part of the family. So we make a specific focus on bringing the family in as well, and they get to go on these digital psychedelic experiences with us.
Lay that out for me. What is a digital psychedelic experience?
So you're laying on a vibrating surface. It's synchronized with lights, LED lights we put over your face, and headphones on. And on the other side, our neuro DJ is on the other side. All the lights go out in the room. You close your eyes. We do a little guided meditation. We do a little breath work, little intention setting, just like you would, little micro psychedelic experience. Then the light, sound, and vibration takes over. And it's all synchronized with light, music, binaural beats, all proprietary stuff that we've been doing for a very long time. We've treated everybody from people at Google to Tony Robbins, and over 1,300 veterans in the last 4 years completely free.
Wow. That is... How do people find out about this? What's the...
How do you read... Yeah, this is the question. What's the moment where somebody's ready to say yes?
It's just... It's weird how in a government situation, I always hate to use the word psychedelics. I'd rather use the word like sensory, because it's like safer, right?
Yeah.
But we're with our community. it mirrors psychedelics very much in that way.
But are people taking psychedelics at the reality center, or it's just
No,
it's an experience?
You don't
that
need to. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's legal. Like
So
me,
you can get government
I can walk
contracts.
outside and probably find some, a bag of mushrooms real quick. This guy probably can't, right? And so it's accessible. It's easy. We just opened it as like sort of like our friends and family lab and bring the veterans there. LA Times wrote an article about us on how was the next best thing since psychedelics without the psychedelics, and we were booked up ever since.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of people that have done psychedelics probably that we're friends with. Maybe that's an average of 10% of America, would say. That's probably a high number right now. What about the other 90% that's never going to take psychedelics, or they work a government job, or they have a family where they can't take off for a couple of days and they don't have that space to, like you do an ayahuasca experience, you need a good 30 days to prepare for it, do it, integrate, and continue your life, or it's just not going to work. And so this allows people to have those same type of experiences in a sort of a compacted way, but you don't need all of the integration on the back end. It's not going to reveal all of these things that you have all these questions for afterwards, like when you rip the DMT pen and you're like, who the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Right? All the more questions come up, when you open your eyes afterwards. And so this is a little bit more gentle. So a lot of people that are grieving somebody, you get to connect with them. I was just with Tom Satterley, famous Delta operator down in Austin, and a girl sat up after a session and she said, I was sitting with my dad on the beach the entire time, but I never met him. He died when I was 2. And I was like, that's very fucking powerful.
Yeah.
And so just like, doing an ayahuasca experience where you get to drop in with your relatives or, talk to people you haven't seen in a long time, it happens every single day at the reality center, but in 1 hour. And you can drive your car home afterwards.
What's it been like getting past the stigma of these things? Because people always put preconceived notions. You said it earlier. It's like it's the modern day weed in a sense.
Yeah, you're a stoner. You're the one on drugs. It just takes a collection of us being like, that pill is a drug. That is plant medicine.
Yeah.
And I think that, like when I worked with people like Weed Maps on cannabis stuff, I said, if you put a soccer mom up there, I know she's going through hell, probably maybe even more hell than I'm going through with those 3 kids at home. It's not going to work. But if you put a veteran on there, like Gary Hess, that was an operator, CIA, top, baseball player, recruited guy, and he says, I was against cannabis. I'm sure just like John Wayne Troxel, right? That's for stoners. But then when you have him get up there on the stand and he said, this little inhaler that I take 2 times a day changed my life. Then his wife gets there on the stand and his son gets on the stand. It's very powerful. And so it took many, many times, many, many stories like that to break those stigmas.
And that's going into what you're doing today, because you have a stigma around your mini psychedelics.
So if you have a stigma around that, all right, we can do it with technology. You don't have to take anything. You have fear, we've treated 4,000 people. We're good. We never lost anybody.
Yeah, it's an amazing. It's that bringing together of your. I don't know if you knew when you got into this business, when you became DP, that this is where it was going to lead you. But you almost need someone with that background who understands story, who understands aesthetics, who understands perception, to say, hey, I'm the right person to kind of bring these 2 worlds together. And I think we see it. This is part of why we do what we do on the game day side of things. Is the people who are often charged or who carry the mantle of storytelling in hard tech and critical industries and some of these like older, more siloed groups, they're not necessarily thinking about how it's going to be perceived on the outside. They're focused on the in-group. It's like, how do you expand the addressable market? How do you expand the zone of interest? And it's through story.
And the first thing I say is when somebody's not a veteran, they come in, they already read the articles and they know what we do. That's why they're there. And they're like, if it worked for a veteran, maybe it'll work for me. And I said, you ever been in a car wreck? And they go, yep. I said, I have just as much post-traumatic stress from a millisecond car wreck that I got in that I should have died in. The car was nothing, but I climbed out the window, then 15 months of firefights. So maybe that tells me that you have just as much post-traumatic stress, or maybe even more, than I do, depending on how tough your nervous system is.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I've said it several times today. It's a theme of mine, which is your story matters. I always tell people, it doesn't matter if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or in the gutter. Your story matters to you. It's how your past basically manifests your trauma through your own lens, your own optics, your own magnifying glass. And the power of story is what is important when we've built businesses, we help organizations, and people are like, oh, you're just storytellers, you make content. No, we're business builders, but through the optics of the lens of story, because you have to get the story out so people buy in and believe and understand. And you're like sound like a perfect representative of that.
And this is one thing that I try to get past because I work on the VA campus a lot, and I'm like, we'll pay for the laundry truck. We'll give everybody free laundry. We'll barbecue. We'll do these things. But I have to tell the fucking story with it.
Yep.
And they're like, no, we're in court
Yep.
right now. We can't. I said,
Yep.
then there's going to be no fucking laundry truck for these guys.
Yep.
All right?
Yes,
if
sir.
you don't let me tell the story. And I said, but I'm the person to tell the story because all these people trust me. It's not Michael from 19 rolling in with Arnold Schwarzenegger at Christmas, kicking open the door and not, filling out the forms like we have to when we want to go in there, right? We have rapport. They trust us now.
Yeah.
So we're the ones that should be telling the stories. And so the stories have to be told, or the stakeholders, the beneficiaries, the person even just donating $5, or the person saying thank you for your service. That won't happen anymore if we don't tell the stories.
Yeah, no, that's right.
100% agree.
We're going to let you get back out there because I know you got a lot of people to meet, a lot of things to do. I do want to end with something, which is, we had somebody on the show earlier who was talking about, it was shocking to me. I haven't stopped thinking about it since. He said 25% of seniors graduating high school have attempted, not thought about, but have actually made an attempt on their own lives by the time they graduate high school in America. I think the mental health crisis, it's easy to say call something a crisis. It's everybody knows somebody. If you don't know that you know somebody, you just haven't asked enough, you haven't had the conversation. I'm curious as you think about the intervention that you've crafted at Reality Center that is working for people here. If you kind of fast forward,
I like where you're going with this.
Look to the future.
I got an answer for you.
I don't even know. Maybe you should ask the question you think I'm going to ask. But I'm just curious, what does the future hold for all of this, and how is this going to
children
reach more people?
You're going to be talking to children that are doing the same things as me, creating these things. They're going to be sitting on your side. They're going to be interviewing each other. Veterans are going to give their second greatest gift to humanity. The first was protection, right? Or whatever this thing is we did, right? Selfless service. The next thing is teach the next generations at a younger age all of these modalities, and so they're not Googling at 40 years old, how the fuck do I fix myself?
It's funny you say that because someone else earlier said pretty much the similar through line, the same thing, which was the people in the military were already messed up before they got in the military, and he meant that in the sense of their trauma is why, and you said it, that's why they got into the military, or they were going to go this way. And you're absolutely right. He said almost the exact same thing. So it's a little bit of a through line I've heard today, which is we got to get kids when they're younger to understand how to handle this. And also part of that conversation was you have so much choice now with social media and so much information. It's not like the old days. It was like you had 3 news sources, you had your community, and you had your religion that told you what to do. And so now you're hearing things and consuming things, and you don't know how to handle them as well. So we need those modalities at a younger age to help solve the problems. So that's an interesting thing. That's an education point for me today, too.
And they have to be dumbed down, too, right? We can't go full all the way to the right with stuff. That's why we can't say, hey, we're throwing the kids on light, sound, and vibration today, digital psychedelics. No. We're doing multi-sensory music therapy today. We're not going to do any lights. It's just going to be a massage with an eye mask on, and they're going to listen to music.
This guy understands branding.
You have to ease them into everything,
yes.
Right? And also, just like organizations like Emerging Vets and Players, right? There's organizations out there that's just it's a Boys and Girls Club, but for a veteran and a homeless kid, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Dude, thank you. This has been amazing. Play us out for someone sitting at home before they get to Reality Center. The one thing. If you're at home and you're thinking, hey, I'm broken, what's one thing you can do today to our audience at home?
Go help somebody.
Amen.
That's great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. That was amazing.
Yeah,
thank you,
you guys so much. Hope that was good.